Jai Om Vishnupada Paramamsa Paribrahacharya Stotrasta Shishimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtapraye Sabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama-sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Today we are reading from chapter 22 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, entitled Stealing the Garments of the Unmarried Gopi Girls. Given the confidential and intimate pastime of Lord Krishna, we have chosen to read from Srila Prabhupada's Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, book, Krishna book, chapter 22. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Sakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhabhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pastachade Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. According to, you are displaying also on Krishna book. You can display. Chapter 22, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to Vedic civilization, unmarried girls from 10 to 14 years of age are supposed to worship either Lord Shiva or Goddess Durga in order to get a nice husband. But the unmarried girls of Vrindavan were already attracted by the beauty of Krishna. They were, however, engaged in the worship of Goddess Durga in the beginning of the Hemanta season, just prior to the winter season. The first month of Hemanta is Agrahayana, October to November. And at that time, all the unmarried girls of Vrindavan began to worship Goddess Durga with a vow. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the Durga mentioned here is not Mahamaya. Generally, Durga is the deity of the material world, Mahamaya, energy of Mahamaya. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, so the girls of Vrindavan, they were following the similar tradition that everywhere else in the world they will be doing it. But the specialities is within Vrindavan, they were worshipping actually Yogamaya. So this Durga that is worshipped by the girls of Vrindavan, they are actually Yogamaya. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. They first ate Avishya Anna, a kind of food prepared by boiling together mung dal and rice without spices or turmeric. According to Vedic injunction, this kind of food is recommended to purify the body before one enacts a ritualistic ceremony. This is part of tapasya, austerity. You have to maintain the body with some energy, and here the prasad taken is just mung dal and rice, and not even spices or even turmeric. No jeera, no spice, just it is like taste is, so it is eaten not for taste, it is just to get some energy to maintain the body and soul together. So purification happens actually. Austerity, when austerity is done, automatically purification is the consequence. All the unmarried gopis in Vrindavan used to daily worship goddess Katyayani early in the morning after a bath in the river Yamuna. Katyayani is another name of goddess Durga. The goddess is worshipped by preparing a doll made of sand from the bank of the Yamuna. It is recommended in the Vedic scriptures that a deity may be made from different kinds of material elements. It can be painted, made of metal, made of jewel, made of wood, earth or stone, or can be conceived within the heart of the worshipper. There are different material with which the worshipable deity can be made. If it is a permanent worship, then you make with the permanent material like marble, granite, and things like that. But sometimes for a ritualistic purpose, you have to worship, then you can make with the temporary things like mud, cow dung also. The pujaris, the priest, when they start some yajna and all, they actually make a deity out of the thing and invest the power. So, for example, Ganesh, with a small cow dung, you empower Ganesh and then you worship that as a Ganesh. Like that, the girls, they were using the sand from the river bank. With that only deity were made. It's a temporary thing. After the worship, it is over. If the deity need not be there after the worship, then it is made of the temporary substance like clay, cow dung, sand, like that. But then, deity is deity. The power is same. The Mayavadi philosophers takes all these forms of the deity to be imaginary, but actually they are accepted in the Vedic scripture to be identical, either the Supreme Lord or respective demigod. For Mayavadis, deity worship is a stepping stone. After you climb the stairs, after ladder, suppose for example ladder, you use the ladder to climb. Once you have reached why you need the ladder, you kick the ladder out. They also have Pancha Upasana. Mayavadis don't think that they are just like a Buddhist meditating into nothing. They have worship. They have temples. They have worship. But those are all like sadhana. Once you perfect it, then you don't need that. But Vaishnavas, throughout the life it remains. You don't climb the ladder and kick it out. You climb the ladder and be grateful to the ladder also. Still you need it. The unmarried gopis used to prepare the deity of goddess Durga and worship it with chandan pulp, garlands, incense, lamps, and all kinds of presentations, fruits, grain, and twigs of plant, just like any other deity worship. It's not that because you have made a temporary deity, things become less. It's as good as a permanent deity. After worshipping, it is the custom to pray for some benediction. Worship means at the end, please, give me something. Huh? The unmarried girls used to pray with great devotion to Goddess Katyayani, addressing her as follows. O supreme external energy of the personality of Godhead, O supreme mystic power, O supreme controller of this material world, O Goddess, please be kind to us and arrange for our marriage with the son of Nanda Maharaj, Krishna. So they were doing the entire worship, austerity, and their goal was to get Krishna. To get Krishna. They didn't ask for, usually, generally when people go to, like Prabhupada already mentioned, Lord Shiva and Goddess Durga, people go to get a good husband. They also wanted a good husband, not the good actually, the best of the best actually. Because Krishna is in the picture, things become very different. The Vaishnavas generally do not worship any demigods. Vaishnavas do not generally worship any demigod because the demigod worship is identified with the material benedictions. Just identified. Anybody goes, they go for material things. So if a devotee goes, then people think he is also going to get the same thing actually. So much so that something like some sampradayas, Madhavas, they don't enter a demigod temple actually. Very strong. Some Vaishnavas, they are very strong, they don't. But then, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his tour all over India, you can see that wherever he went, he also went to the temple of Lord Shiva, Lord Durga also. And considering them to be servants of Krishna, not to take material benefits, to give Vaishnavanam Yata Sambhu. If there is a Vaishnava, you can give and take association. So, you can see several places. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita mentions how he went in front of the deity of Lord Shiva and chanting in ecstasy. Maybe Lord Shiva is dancing in ecstasy, who knows, inside. Seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's a big dance. We only could see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing, or maybe Lord Shiva is also a Nataraj. So Gaura Nataraj and Nataraj, though Nataraj dance karega to, it may be great ecstasy there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed that we can go, but don't go with material list of things to be achieved. That is the bottom line. Narottam Das Thakur has strictly forbidden all worships of the demigods for anyone who wants to advance in pure devotional service. Bottom line. Bottom line. Narottam Das Thakur is setting. Yet, the gopis, who are beyond compare in their affection for Krishna, were seen to worship Durga. The worshippers of demigods sometimes mention that gopis worshipped Goddess Durga, but we must understand the purpose of the gopis. Generally, people worship Goddess Durga for some material benediction. Here, gopis prayed to Goddess to become wives of Lord Krishna. It is very difficult to just understand activities of great personalities. So somebody will say, see, in Bhagavad it is mentioned gopis are worshipping Durga, so I will also go to Durga. Going to Durga is one thing, for what is another thing. If you are going to Durga with a list of things, material, which is going to entangle you, then that is not all. Then Narottam Das Thakur's strict instruction applies, don't go to any demigods. But if your idea is to get Krishna, then there is no problem because it's not going to entangle you. Here, the gopis prayed to the goddess, wives of Krishna. The purport is that, this is the purport, you read a purport for any activity. If Krishna is the center of the activity, a devotee can adopt any means to achieve that goal. If Krishna is in the center, ultimate goal is Krishna, then doing anything he'll do. Going to Durga and asking, please, you can go to Ganesh and tell, please Ganesh, please remove my obstacles so that I can do devotional service nicely. Ganesh will be happy. Oh, all the while nobody asked me this, okay, let me do something about it. If Krishna is the goal. The gopis could adapt any means to satisfy or serve Krishna. That was the super excellent characteristic of the gopis. They worshipped goddess Durga completely for 1 month, Katyayani Vrat, 1 month, in order to have Krishna as their husband. Every day they prayed for Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, to become their husband. Early in the morning, the gopis used to go to the bank of the Yamuna to take bath. They would assemble together and holding one another's hands, loudly singing of the wonderful pastimes of Krishna. It is an old system among Indian girls and women that when they take a bath in the river, they place their garments on the bank and dip into the water completely naked. The portion of the river where girls and women bathe are strictly prohibited to any male, and this is still the system. Shri Shri Radha Ras Vihari Ji ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki. The bathing ghats on the rivers and lakes, ladies and gents areas are separate. So, the girls and ladies go to one area where male are generally not there. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing the minds of the unmarried young gopis, blessed them with their desired objective. They had prayed for Krishna to become their husband, and Krishna wanted to fulfill their desire. Krishna is Paramatma within the heart. He knows who is praying for. You don't have to even spell it out. Actually, they were praying to Katyayani. What they are praying to Katyayani, Krishna knows. Krishna knows everybody who is doing what. We can't secretly pray to anybody. Without knowledge of Krishna, I will just go to some demigod and get some benediction. Doesn't work like that. They were praying to have Krishna as their husband, and Krishna, knowing their desire, Krishna wanted to fulfill that desire. So 1 month Katyayani Vrata, at the end of the month, Krishna, along with his friends, appeared on the scene. Specifically mentioned along with the friends. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, these friends are actually toddlers. 2 years, 3 years old, they themselves are naked. When the child is very small, it cannot actually distinguish between male, female. That small child, it's all same, It doesn't, it has not developed the thinking level of that distinction. So when a small child is there, you don't have to have the customary thing of dressing and all. The child ko to malum hi nahi hai. Sukadeva Goswami was not a small child actually. He was so grown up, naked. He was there also bathing of the women. The women were bathing in the lake, and Sukadeva Goswami was passing by. And when somebody is passing by, if something is happening, they will put attention. If you are putting attention, then you know that you are seeing. And this fellow is going like, not even noticing what is happening. The girls were not at all worried about Sukadeva Goswami going naked, and they are taking bath naked also. Vyasadeva came behind. He is an elderly man actually, old man. And when he passed by, they were trying to cover the body with the cloth, because Vedavyas can distinguish between male and female. So if somebody can distinguish, then you will have to appropriately dress up. Sukadeva Goswami is not able to distinguish a small child like that. Then they said, child, bachcha ja raha kya farak? So here Krishna went with the toddlers, 2 or 3 years old, and they also went with him. And they were naked themselves. So they were not even understanding what is happening actually. They don't know what's happening. Another name of Krishna is Yogeshwara, or master of all mystic powers. By practicing meditation, the yogi can study the psychic movement of other men. And certainly, Krishna could understand the desire of the gopis. Appearing on the scene, Krishna immediately collected all the garments of the gopis. They all left the garments on the banks of the river Yamuna. He collected all the garments and climbed up into the nearby tree, and with a smiling face began to speak to them. He collected all the cloths. Upar chala gaya. Then he started speaking. My dear girls, he said, please come here, one after another, and pray for your garments, and then take them away. I am not joking with you. I am just telling the truth. I have no desire to play any joke with you, for you are tired from observing the regulatory principles for 1 month by worshipping goddess Katyayani. Please do not come here all at once. Come alone. I want to see each of you in your complete beauty, for you all have thin waists. I have requested you to come alone. Now, please comply. Krishna is reminding them, see, they have observed fast for 1 month, eating once, that also unspiced khichdi. Once in a day, unspiced khichdi for 1 month. So obviously they are weak. So you have performed for 1 month. You are very tired. I am not joking. I am very serious about what I am talking about. So you all come, but don't come together. You come one by one. You have to come one by one. When the girls in the water heard such joking words from Krishna, they began to look at one another with smile. You have to remember that they actually prayed for having Krishna as their husband also. Not some stranger has come. This is what they wanted. And they were smiling, that's why. They were joyous to hear such a request from Krishna. Joyous. Because they were already in love with him. Out of shyness, they looked at one another, but they could not come out of the water because they were naked. Due to remaining in the water for a long time, they felt cold. You'll have to know that this is November, December, Vrindavan gets little bit cold, and early morning water, and you are inside the water, you feel cold, you can't remain too long, shivering. It's not very cold, but then still it is cold. Maybe January it will be much colder. Yet, upon hearing the pleasing joking words of Govinda, their minds were perturbed with great joy. They told Krishna, Dear son of Nanda Maharaj, please do not joke with us in that way. It is completely unjust to us. You are a very respectable boy because you are son of Nanda Maharaj and you are very dear to us. But you should not play this joke on us because now we are all shivering from the cold water. Kindly deliver our garments immediately. Otherwise, we shall suffer. They then began to appeal to Krishna with great submission. Actually, first of all, this is the female bathing god. Krishna is not supposed to be there. And out of that, he is saying something which is, is extraordinary. Extraordinary. So they thought he is actually joking. So please don't joke with us like this. Because he is not a ordinary person. He is son of Nanda Maharaj. He is the head of the community. King. He is a king, Maharaj. And you are like princess, so you can't do that. Any tapori doing it is a different thing. You are not, you are respectable, you are coming from a respectable family, you are, Nanda Maharaj is our king and, how can you do that? Please, Dear Shyam Sundar, they said, we are all your eternal servitors. We are your servants. Actually, in fact, we wanted you. In the mind, they are wanting him. Whatever you order us to do, we are obliged to perform without hesitation because we consider it our religious duty. But if you insist on putting this proposal to us, which is impossible to perform, then certainly we will have to go to Nanda Maharaj and lodge a complaint against you. We want to do something, we want to do service to you, we are eternal servitors, no problem. But the service that you are asking is something very difficult for an ordinary person, anybody to do. What he is asking them to do is, you surrender your modesty. Modesty of a woman means, properly dressed. You surrender that, he is asking to surrender that, which is most difficult. So they said, we will complain against you. We will go to Nanda Maharaj and complain. If Nanda Maharaj doesn't take action, then we shall tell King Kamsa about your misbehavior. If Nanda Maharaj, because Nanda Maharaj is under Kamsa. So first level, see, they also know the protocol. They didn't want to go to Kamsa first. First we will go to Nanda Maharaj. If no action is taken, next level. Don't jump the authorities. Gopis are also knowing what is the protocol actually. Upon hearing this proposal by the unmarried Gopis, Krishna answered, my dear girls, if you think that you are my eternal servitors and you are always ready to execute my order, then my request is that with your smiling faces, you please come here alone, one after another, and take away your garments. If you do not come here, however, and if you lodge a complaint with my father, I shall not care anyway. You just go complain, who cares? Complain, they do not care. And I know my father is old and he cannot take any action against me. And Kamsa, Prabhupada did not mention, he says, Kamsa, who cares for Kamsa? Anyway, he is going to handle him later. He didn't want it to happen earlier. There are so many other pastimes that we perform. It should not be that early. When the Gopis saw that Krishna was strong and determined, they had no alternative but to abide by his order. One after another, they came out of the water. But because they were completely naked, they tried to cover their nakedness by placing their left hand over their pubic area. In that posture, they were all shivering. See, if you are inside the water, shivering will be less. If you come out, shivering will be more. Because you are exposed to a different temperature. You are same temperature, okay. Higher temperature outside, you will start shivering. So, you are shivering. Their simple presentation was so pure that Lord Krishna immediately became pleased with them. All the unmarried Gopis who prayed to Katyayani to have Krishna as their husband were thus satisfied. A woman cannot be naked before any male except her husband. The unmarried Gopis desired Krishna as their husband and he fulfilled that desire in this way. So, woman is supposed to be modestly dressed, properly dressed in front of everyone. Only exception is husband. Somebody is naked, it can be only the women, it can be only in front of the husband. So here, they actually prayed to Katyayani to have Krishna as their husband, and Krishna made them to come naked. You wanted me as husband, this is what husband do. In front of husband, then why? You wanted me as husband, so come naked in front of me. But still, it's not complete. Being pleased with them, he took their garments on his shoulder and began to speak. He has still not given the garment. He is having it on his shoulder. My dear girls, You have committed a great offense. They came out of the water and they are shivering. Still he is giving some more instructions. Great offense by going naked in the river Yamuna. Because of this, the predominating deity of Yamuna, Varunadev, has become displeased with you. Varuna is the water god, demigod in charge of water. Please therefore, just touch your foreheads with folded palms and bow down before demigod Varuna in order to be excused from this offensive act. He said, you did a big offense. You went naked in the water. Varuna is very offended. So you have to pray to him, because you'll have to know that they are covering their private parts with the hand. And he says, no, you'll have to pray like this. That means don't cover. You pray with the folded hands on the head to Varuna, then you can be excused. The gopis were all simple souls. And whatever Krishna said, they took it to be true. In order to be freed from the wrath of Varunadev, as well as to fulfill the desired end of their vows, and ultimately to please their worshipable Lord, Krishna, they immediately abided by his order. Thus, they became the greatest lovers of Krishna and the most obedient servitors. This is the pinnacle of surrender. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vrajya. Dharma, there are different dharmas. For Stri, there is a Stri dharma. And the Stri dharma is in front of husband only can be naked. And Krishna, they were unmarried, and Krishna is telling, no, you do this. And surrender, what he is asking for? Surrender your modesty. Surrender your modesty, which is very difficult to do. And because they naturally loved Krishna, they were ready to do whatever Krishna wanted them to do. So they did it, full surrender. Nothing can compare with the Krishna consciousness of the gopis. Actually, the gopis did not care for Varuna or any other demigod. Because Krishna said Varuna is offended, it is not that because of that. They wanted to please Krishna actually. They wanted to satisfy Krishna. Krishna became very ingratiated and satisfied by the simple dealings of the gopis. And he immediately delivered their respective garments, one after another. Although Krishna cheated the young unmarried gopis and made them stand naked before him and enjoyed joking words with them, and although he treated them just like dolls and stole their garments, they were still pleased with him. They never lodged complaints against him. Even though they said they will lodge a complaint, after the incident they didn't go to Nanda Maharaj, they didn't go to consult to law. They were only just, he was joking and he was no complaint dega. DNA. But they were pleased, they were not angry. Something like that happened, people will be angry, and they may even take a revenge for lifetime. You did like that. They are very pleased. They are pleased. This attitude of the gopis is described by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he prays, "My dear Lord Krishna, you may embrace me or trample me under your feet, or you may make me broken-hearted by never being present before me. Whatever you like, you can do, because you have complete freedom to act. But in spite of all your dealings, you are my Lord eternally, and I have no other worshipable object." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sikshashtakam, Aslishyava padaratam vinastuvam Darshanam marma hatam karotuva yata tatava vidadatu lampato mat prananatatu sayeva naparaha. Anything you may want, this is when a person is 100% surrendered, this is what? Anything, so you are surrendered to a person, the person may treat the way he wants to treat. So here, gopis are in that mood. That is what is reflected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Shikshashtakam verse. But in general, materially, somebody is that fully surrendered, somebody may try to abuse, somebody may abuse. But Krishna is not abusive. He will bless. He will be blessing. Oh, this much you are surrendered, you will get only the blessing. And this is actually the attitude of the gopis towards Krishna. Lord Krishna was pleased with them, and since they all desired to have him as their husband, he told them, "My dear well-behaved girls, I know your desire for me and why you worshipped goddess Katyayani, and I completely approve of your action." So, gopis worshipping Katyayani is approved, endorsed by Krishna actually. Anybody said, why did they go to Katyayani? Krishna has approved it. Anyone whose full consciousness is always absorbed in me, even if in lust, is elevated. If somebody is lusty, goes to a demigod, the demigod will give something by means of which one may gratify the senses and the lust will increase. Entanglement will increase. If one with the lust goes to Krishna and worships him, and Krishna gives a benediction, and he will remove the lust and make it love. Gopis are the example. And it removes the entanglement. That is why our acharyas have said, don't go to demigods, because invariably you will end up in getting something material and your consciousness is not that pure and you will not be able to handle it. You want money, you go to demigod and get the money. But Sudama went to actually Krishna. He didn't even want to go. His wife sent him. And he went all the way to get charity because he's a Brahmana. He can get charity from a Kshatriya. Krishna was his friend, a Kshatriya. And he went all the way, he didn't ask for anything. And Krishna was thinking, what is this fellow is not asking? Then forcefully he took the flat rice, dry, stale flat rice. Just by one mouth he taking, he invested the opulence equivalent to Vaikuntha. Forget about even heavenly opulences. So much. So much so that Rukmini has to stop him. One mouth is enough, no second mouth is not required. It is said, Krishna has given so much. In spite of him getting so much opulent, he was always thinking about how he met Krishna and how Krishna treated him so much so that he went back to Godhead. If it was given to an ordinary person, he would have been completely in Maya. So Krishna can actually give when he knows that it will purify you and make you to advance in Krishna consciousness. So, as a fried seed cannot fructify, so any desire in connection with me, my loving service, cannot produce any fruitive result as in ordinary karma. Exactly like you take some grain and you roast it, and then you try to plant it, it will not grow. It will not grow. In the same way, when you go to Krishna with a desire and by some transcendental frying, not like material frying, Krishna makes the seed ineffective so that it doesn't produce any material results. It doesn't entangle you. It doesn't have the capacity to entangle you. Nullified. The effects are nullified. There is a statement in the Brahma Samhita, Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Everyone is bound by his fruitive activities. But the devotees, because they work completely for the satisfaction of Lord, suffer no reactions. Similarly, the gopis' attitude towards Krishna, although seemingly lusty, should not be considered to be like lusty desire of ordinary women. The reason is explained by Krishna himself. Activities in devotional service to Krishna are transcendental to any fruitive result. That is why it requires guidance of the Acharya to understand what is given in the scripture. If somebody reads it, Gopis did like that, what is this Gopis? Krishna went and stole, what is this Krishna is stealing? What kind of person he is? One requires actually understanding from an Acharya to even properly understand what is given in the scriptures. So even though Gopis seemingly lusty, wanting a husband, because they have seen Krishna, they were very attracted to Krishna, and then they wanted him to have their husband. It may look like, you like some hero and you want to be married to that hero. It looks like a lusty thing, but because it is Krishna, and because they came to Krishna, those desires are not ordinary material lust, it is love. What is appearing to be lust turns into love when Krishna is in the center. My dear Gopis, Krishna continued, your desire to have me as your husband will be fulfilled. Because that is your desire. Instead of Katyayani coming and giving, Krishna himself is, they pray to Katyayani, Krishna is coming and giving benediction. Because it is with this desire you have worshipped goddess Katyayani. I promise you that during the next autumn season, you shall be able to meet with me and you shall enjoy me as your husband. So, this is the Ras Leela pastime that Lord Krishna is going to perform, coming soon. So it is explained by Acharyas that sometimes people complain, this person Krishna, he goes, steals the garments, and he treats the girls so badly. He has insulted them and made them naked stand in front of him. Then he is dancing with them. Now they are unmarried girls. When they are going to dance, they are married also. पहले तो अनमैरिड में हालत खराब कर दिया, मैरिज तो हो गया, छोड़ना चाहिए था, फिर भी छोड़ा नहीं. Then he was dancing. What is this Krishna? So, Acharyas have explained, Lord Brahma performing his pastime with Krishna in stealing the calves and covered boys. What was the age of Krishna? 5 years old actually. 5 years old. And he stole all the calves, he stole all the covered boys. So it is mentioned there, Krishna expanded himself as all the covered boys and calves. We have read that. So, now these unmarried girls, they are actually going to get married, right? So their marriage happened this happened for 1 year. When Brahma stole the covered boys and kept in the cave, just one moment for Brahma actually. But it was 1 year. During that 1 year period, all the gopis got married. So when they got married to apparently different gopas, but all those different gopas are Krishna's expansion. It is Krishna who expanded like that gopa. And calves also. We will leave the calves aside. The gopas actually got married during that 1 year to all these gopis who have done Katyayani Vrat. That means who is the husband? They actually married to Krishna. And after 1 year, all these gopas come, and in the house they are already married. Hare? During the marriage, Krishna was there. After marriage, these people have come. So who is supposed to be a legitimate husband? It looks like, for ordinary vision, they are married to different X, Y, Z, but actually they are married to Krishna. So when Krishna is going to dance with them, and which Krishna is promising here, he is actually dancing with his wives only. He is not dancing with somebody else's wives. His wife only. That is for at least the pastime. But the tattva, truth is that every spirit soul is prakriti. This is apara prakriti and spirit soul is para prakriti. And para is enjoyable by Krishna, and Krishna's energy to be enjoyed. In that way, everybody is consort. Krishna can consort with everyone, every spirit soul. So in this way, it is mentioned that Lord Krishna lifted the Govardhan when he was 7, and the Rasalila performance was done at 8 years old. Krishna was 8 years old, Rasalila was performed. In 7 years he lifted the Govardhan hill. And before that all these pastimes happened. And then he got married also with all these gopis during the Brahma Vimohana Leela. Later, Krishna, in the company of his coward boyfriends, took shelter of the shade of some trees and became very happy. Thus he addressed the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Oh, my dear Stoka Krishna, my dear Varutapa, my dear Bhadrasena, my dear Sri Dama, my dear Subala, and my dear Arjuna, my dear Vishal, my dear Brishabha. Just look at these most fortunate trees of Vrindavan. They have dedicated their lives to the welfare of others. Individually, they are tolerating all kinds of natural disturbances, such as hurricane, torrents of rain, scorching heat, and piercing cold, but they are very careful to relieve our fatigue and give us shelter. My dear friends, I think they are glorified in this birth as trees. They are so careful to give shelter to others that they are like noble, highly elevated, charitable men who never deny charity to one who approaches them. No one is denied shelter by these trees. They supply various kinds of facilities to human society, such as leaves, flowers, fruit, shade, roots, bark, flavor extracts, and fuel. After death also they serve actually. When the tree is dead, then firewood, fuel. They are the perfect example of noble life, giving everything. They are like the noble person who has sacrificed everything possible, his mind, body, activities, intelligence, and words, for the welfare of all living entities. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead walked on the bank of the Yamuna, touching the leaves of the trees and their fruits, flowers, twigs, and prizing their glorious welfare activities. Different people may accept certain welfare activities to be beneficial for human society according to their own views, but the welfare activity that can be rendered to the people in general for eternal benefit is spreading of the Krishna consciousness movement. Prabhupada brings the preaching, how it is greatest welfare activity. Everyone should be prepared to propagate this movement. As instructed by Lord Chaitanya, one should be humbler than the grass on the ground and more tolerant than a tree. The toleration of the tree is explained by Lord Krishna himself, and those who are engaged in preaching of Krishna consciousness should learn lessons from the teachings of Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya through their direct disciplic succession. Prabhupada is emphasizing the trees are like a noble person giving charity, and preaching work is more than that. And by giving that, you can make the person servant of Krishna, Krishna conscious. While passing through the forest of Vrindavan on the banks of the Yamuna, Krishna sat down at a beautiful spot and allowed the cows to drink the cold and transparent water of the Yamuna. Being fatigued, the cowherd boys, Krishna and Balram, also drank. After seeing the young gopis bathe in the Yamuna, Lord Krishna passed the rest of the morning with the boys. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 22nd chapter of Krishna, the stealing the garments of the unmarried Gopi girls. In this connection, there is something very interesting and parallel in the life of Andal, one of the 12 alvars in Sri Sampradaya. Andal is one of the Alvars, girl, only female Alvar. She was found in the garden of another Alvar, Periyalvar. Periyalvar had a garden in which he used to grow the flowers, and he will take the flowers and make garland and offer it to the deity in Srivalliputtur in South India. So one day he found a baby girl in the garden, and he took the girl and he gave the name Kodai. Kodai means garland. He was always offering Krishna garland, and he also named his child as Garland. Kodai. And it is said that she is actually manifestation of Bhudevi, one of the consorts of Lord Vishnu. So this Kodai, Andal, she used to listen to Bhagavatam from Periyalvar, foster father. And when he was narrating the pastime of Gopis performing Katyayani Vrat, she was listening. Gopis were performing Katyayani Vrat for 1 month time, and they were worshipping Krishna like that. So she was so much moved by that, she also wanted to perform a vrat. And she also wanted her Krishna as her husband. Very similar. Very similar. So, this Alvar, Periyalvar, what he will do, he will make garland, and then he will keep it, and he will do some other services, and he would offer it to the deities. One day they found in the garland there was a long hair, human hair. Before the Lord wore, how hair can come? So they were suspecting something is happening. So then Periyalvar thought, what is happening? He kept the garland and he was watching what is happening. Then he found this girl. She would come and wear the garland that was made for the deities. Wear and see in the mirror, everything is all right. Acha lagta hai, theek hai. He was very upset. Hare? Deity department garland is made and kept inside. If somebody says, before Krishna wears, let me wear and see how it is. Rama Prabhu, he will take Narsingh Avatar. So Andal did that. And he was so unhappy, he didn't send the garland. How can I send the garland to the Lord when it is owned by my daughter? And he was so upset. And garland was not offered. And when he slept, the Lord came in the dream. He said, no, I want that garland only. That is being owned by her. You please send that. In fact, if you are sending it without being owned by her, I will not wear it. Ye kya baat hai? Then it became a routine that she will wear the garland, then send it to the deities. Very difficult to understand. Ordinary people, if they hear what, they can understand this. That is why they became faithless. Are ye kya hai, wo kya hai? They make the comment depending upon our kind of perception. You are living in the material world, trying to understand things which are happening in the spiritual domain. How can you logically corroborate? It's not possible. So this Andal, Kodai, actually followed the footsteps of the Gopis and did a vrat. In south, it is called Margai. Margai is auspicious month, which is equivalent to Margashir. Little bit, because it comes in December. Somehow or other there is a little gap there, but transcendental gap. 1 month, she also did a vrat, taking all the girls along. She is an unmarried girl, like Gopis are unmarried girls. She would take all the girls to go and take baths in the river and then glorify Lord Krishna. Very exactly. But she didn't do a Katyayani vrat, but she was doing a vrat for Krishna. For Krishna, because she is teaching us one step, not very advanced level, little bit normal level. So, her songs were actually very, even though Sri Sampradaya directly glorifying Lord Krishna in Vrindavan, directly glorifying. 9:10. So this is known as Tirupavai. Very interesting. It's 1 month. In this month is so auspicious that generally Vaishnavas are supposed to do. Now everybody copies and everybody does it. Even still I remember in Margari month, every temple morning they will start playing the auspicious music and things like that. Demigod temple also. What to speak of demigod? Even Ayyappas also do the same thing during this month, because that is, Makara Jyoti comes, unka bhi yahi chalta hai mahina mein. Auspicious month. So, Andal prays, saying that, it is in Tamil, so you can, I will explain. Margari tingal madhi nirainda nannalal Nirada podu vivir podu mino neridayil. Margari month is so auspicious that, oh my dear friends, girls, please come with me. Let us go, and then let us go and take bath. And while bathing, what we should do? It says, Nanda Gopa Kumara. Nanda Gopa Kumara is very specific, it is Krishna. They are not praying to any other form of the Lord. This Nanda Gopa Kumara, let us remember. And this Nanda Gopa Kumara, again, is the Yasoda's lion cub. He's like a lion cub of Yasoda. That person, they are identifying the person. He is Nanda Gopa Kumara, the lion cub of Yasoda, and his body is bluish black like the rain cloud, Carmany, rain cloud. And his eyes are reddish like lotus. And his face is like the midday sun, very brilliant. Midday sun. And that person, let us worship. It's like Katyayani Vrat, but worshipping Krishna directly. The whole thing, Tirupavai, this is being sung actually. This is written by Andal. So in this way, she was worshipping Lord Krishna, wanting to have him as her husband. And the marriageable age came. This happened in the recent time, right? So Periyalvar wanted to get her married. The father's job is to get the daughter married. So Periyalvar said, I want marriage. He said, okay father, I will get married only to Lord Krishna. He said, Lord Krishna? I can get to Krishna Das, but Lord Krishna comes. I will marry only the Lord. He thought, sometimes when he says something, people think you are joking. Then seriousness comes after insisting. Only Krishna. Then he said, "Theek hai, there are so many Krishnas, which Krishna you want to marry?" He said, "You give the list and explain, then I will choose." In ancient time, there is Swayamvara, If there is Swayamvara announced, all the Kshatriya princes will go and they will be seated. The different ways of Swayamvara. Sometimes there may be a contest also. Sometimes just explanation. All the princes are seated. Then somebody will come. The girl will come with a garland. This is Mr. So-and-so. He is the king of that. He has seen so many battlefields. He did this, he did that. Okay, next. She will go around and around. After hearing all these things, whomever she wants to put the garland, that person becomes husband. Swayamvara. So she said, "You please explain." Then Periyalvar started explaining about all the 108 Divya Desas. In Sri Vaishnavism, there is 108 Divya Desas. So each one of the deity was, because she wanted to marry to a deity, So he was explaining all that one after another. This deity, that deity, all the 106 plus 2 actually. So then finally he came to Sri Rangam. He said, "This is Ranganath." This Ranganath was worshipped by the descendant of Ikshvaku in Surya Vamsa. Lord Ramachandra worshipped in Ayodhya. From Ayodhya, Vibhishana, when he came after coronation of Lord Ramachandra, he carried this Ranganath from there and he installed it on the island in the Kaveri, and he is worshipped in this way. He said, "Yes, this person I will marry." Choice. This one. Ranganath ko kaisa marriage karega abhi? So that day night, Ranganath comes in the dream of Periyalvar So don't worry, please bring your daughter, I will marry. You decorate her nicely, you bring her. He is a poor man, no? Then the Lord comes in the dream of Pandya king. King, please arrange everything possible for a royal wedding. It should be top class. With the proper procession, with all the auspicious things. And he comes in the dream of Andal also and tells how she will be getting married. So in the morning when he got up, Father, I got a dream. No, Ranganath came and this is the way marriage done. He said, yeah, he came in my dream also to take you. And already the Pandya king's people are coming. Where is these people? We are ready to take. So in this way, from Srivalliputur, they came all the way to Srirangam, royal procession, and Andal entered in Sanctum Sanctorum, Ranganath temple. She enters into the Sanctum Sanctorum and just goes and sits at the lotus feet of Lord Ranganath. And slowly she disappears from the vision, material vision, and then Lord Ranganath along with her, they give darshan to all the devotees. And Ranganath says to Periyalvar, you are my father-in-law now, so please you go back now. Then after doing your service, we will meet you in Vaikunta. So in this way, here, interesting parallel is, the Gopis performed Katyayani Vrat. And Andal performed Margari Vrat. This is also Vrat. 1 month. That is also 1 month, by the way. Margari Vrat. It ends on Makara Sankranti. And they also prayed. Gopis prayed for Lord Krishna to be husband. And Andal also prayed for Krishna to be her husband. And Krishna married Gopis. Very not visible to the eyes of the general people. He is married, but then ordinary common man cannot understand that. And Lord Ranganath married, everybody saw, Andal came and went inside the altar and she sat there, everybody saw, and then she is concert. So much so that in every Shiva Vaishnava temple there is a small temple and altar for Andal. One is for Lakshmi and another is for Andal. Andal is there. And here, important thing is, Ranganath personally marries Andal and Krishna marries them in a very special way. Krishna is always special, by the way. And purpose is, it is Swakya-ras and this is Parakya-ras. The taste increases in Parakya-ras, ultimate. So because Gopis are in that mood, Gopis are in that bhav, wanting to give Krishna under the fullest surrender possible. Fullest surrender possible. And Krishna also reciprocates accordingly, giving them the ultimate shelter. So in this way, here in this chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, wonderfully explained how the Gopis are emblem of surrender. Something which is not possible for ordinary person to do, they did. And Krishna also reciprocates. This is the hardest test. This chapter is the hardest test for the Gopis to actually publicly appear in a way that what they can do only in front of husband, in front of a person who is not married to them externally. They did that, and which is like a surrender of everything. When we say Sarva Dharman Parityaja, they have surrendered the Dharma, Sri Dharma also. So by means of that, they are exhibiting how they have undergone the hardest test, and they passed the test. Surrender means something which we cannot give up. If I have 1,000 rupees, I have to give only 1 rupee, that is not surrender. If I have 1,000 rupees, I have to give all the 1,000 rupees, then everything is gone. But when everything is given, it is not that Krishna will just leave you like that. He becomes everything for you. Bali Maharaj surrendered, Atma Nivedanam, he took everything. And he sent him to Sutala. And then, if somebody goes and disturbs him, Lord Vishnu stands there as a gatekeeper. Koi aane ka nahi there, मैं हूँ ना. So in that way, when Krishna sees the full surrender, then he also gives full protection at his lotus feet, and by means of which one can achieve the ultimate perfection of going back home, back to Godhead. Stop here. Any comments? Questions? Yes, Prabhu.
Very nice, very sweet. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
It's interesting to know why the Gopi, they got this love for Krishna. Because as a young girl, they was, separate from the boys and not playing together. So how is that they developed such a love for Krishna that they wanted Krishna as their husband? So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining that in order to stimulate their love, to grow their love, and Krishna made some pastimes. And the first pastimes is Kaliya Daman. So when Krishna was doing this pastime, he was playing like you said, Nataraj, beautiful dancing on the hoods of these 100 hoods, something like this. On the hood, beautifully, it was very charming, And all the inhabitants of Vrindavan were there along the bank of the Jamuna, some people was, like Mother Yashoda was fainted. But many they was looking, and all the girls was looking, Nobody everybody was really on Krishna. So the girls also, the young girl, these girls, they was looking at Krishna, how beautiful he is, and what extraordinary Nataraj is there. So in this way, they, because they had sometimes to watch Krishna, then really, really their love grows, because they had time to look at him, his face, his beauty, and his dance. So that was the first, pastime, so that they was looking at Krishna. And then the second one is Govardhan Lila. In Govardhan Lila, all the inhabitants also were there under the mountain, and all was around Krishna. It was so extraordinary that even some people was behind him, but they was thinking that, oh, Krishna is looking at me, but they was behind. Anyway, so all the inhabitants were there looking at Krishna, only this to see, nothing else, He was looking at Krishna. And the Gopi, the same Gopi, already in love, then for 7 days, 7 nights, they looked at Krishna's beauty, how beautiful he is, So much so that their love was completely, like you said, fixed, determined, I will get Krishna as my husband, They all wanted, like this. Because Krishna played these pastimes also for them, so that some love can be, you cannot fall in love in 1 second. You fall in love because you have some, reciprocation, some, you're looking, and then, So, in this way, they had time to look at Krishna and then finished. Hare Krishna Lila ki.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. This pastime is performed for the giving perfection to the sadhana siddha gopis. Means nitya siddha gopis are not involved in this pastime. The confidential reason why this pastime has been performed, the fundamental qualification that is required to get Krishna, Shyamsundar Krishna, he is anusmriti, means ananyas chintayantumam, constantly thinking of Krishna. So by performing this pastime, Krishna induced all the gopis because he told them, "Aane wale raat, in the coming nights, autumn nights, I will perform. You can participate in the rasa dance and all." So that propelled them to think of Krishna constantly, because they were so much mesmerized by the sweetness of Krishna in this pastime. And then they didn't ask every time when you are accepting us as wives, because they were constantly thinking of Krishna. And then when the time came, and then Krishna fulfilled that desire.
Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, जय गौर प्रेमानंदे।